now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
All right, folks, good evening and welcome to another segment of the Cold Hard Truth. Allow me to adjust my light. Woo-hoo. It seems a little bit off there. How are you guys doing? What is going on? We are live, and where is everyone? I think there have been some changes to my setup because things look a little bit different, but welcome. How are you guys? Friday is almost here. Let me just have a quick look and make sure that we are good to go. Yeah, I see you guys logged in. For some reason on my screen, it's not showing up who's here. So let's get a couple comments going, folks. Give me some love. I'm not seeing any comments for some really weird reason. So I don't know if something weird is going on with the system. I see somebody just commented like I'm seeing it on Facebook, but I'm actually not seeing it on my screen. How super odd is that? All right, so what that means is I'm gonna just get a little creative here and open up another screen so that I can definitely see your comments and your messages. Are you guys having a wonderful day? Well, it would be great if I could actually see the comments, but I can't. So let me just pull that up here. So listen, it's one of those days where a lot is happening. Wow. I mean, I don't know what to say, except it has been a super interesting day. Yesterday, as you guys will well know, the decision came down in terms of the domestic partnership bill. And this has been a day of announcements, is what I can say in relation to that. So everyone has been making an announcement in relation to this. The Human Rights Committee just not too long ago issued their statement, and their statement basically said that they were disappointed in the decision and the fact that the government couldn't get it done. And now they are of the opinion that want it done or not, the UK is going to have to step in. So I do not know why I'm not seeing your comments this evening, but this is something I'll quickly report to tech support. But I can read them otherwise. Karen says, yes, for sure I am. Hi, Cecile. Johan, who are you putting on blast this evening, says Johan. He's here for that with his the little googly eyes. Darlene says, it's a blessed day. Darlene, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate the love and support. And yeah, I don't know who I'm putting in blast. I don't have a plan for this evening. We're going to just talk it through and see how far we have gotten. So listen, folks, another 263 COVID-19 tests. So far, all negatives. This is wonderful. We're pushing at almost 30,000 tests here in the Cayman Islands. And we have really reached a new landmark of going, I think we're now at maybe day 16 or so, with no new positive tests confirmed and no active infections of COVID-19. So this is an amazing feat by all stretch of the imagination, I would say. I'm really tickled pink to hear this and to get this information. It's just, I think it's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. So with that, let me just have a quick look here to see what other messages are coming in. So Irvelyn says, good evening. Hi, Irvelyn. Yes, Nancy, thank you so much. I think I'm just having a little technical issue on my side in terms of what I'm seeing on the screen, but you know what? That's not a problem. We just keep it going. So big shout out to everyone who continues to do what they need to do in order to just keep us at that 0 number when it comes to COVID. So wear your mask, continue to keep your social distancing. Obviously we can relax a little bit, but we've gotten here by discipline. We've gotten here by doing what we needed to do at very, very, very critical junctions in this whole thing. And I think we have to continue that. And now that we've reached this plateau, of course, everyone is worried that what will happen come September. But, we'll see the plan. I think we obviously are awaiting more details. And we are just, trying to continue to stay the course. And Dr. Lee actually said that in his comments today. He said, listen, we've gone a while, and the quote says the Cayman Islands can be proud of how well we are faring. However, we must all continue to follow prevention measures, including social distancing and frequent hand washing, in order to keep the trend going. So I think everyone knows that we have probably a few cases lingering, no widespread infection, which is good. And the people that are getting tested obviously are testing positive. So they're still testing like some frontline workers. So for example, I know that anyone who works in a bank will have to be tested like every 4 weeks or something like that. The situation in the US continues to look pretty dismal. And, we are obviously concerned about that. But I think we're just going to have to, just kind of take a wait and see attitude with them. I'm of the opinion that we should not open our borders to Americans, none at all. But I think it will take some time. So let me just see some of your comments and messages. Otherwise, so someone did send me a story earlier today that the EU is extending the travel ban on the Americans, which is to be expected, given what is going on. Johan says, is there full moon tonight or is it this weekend? Hi, Linda. Good evening, Jason. Yeah, you've been missing out. What's been going on, Jason? Johan wants to know if there's a full moon because he must want to get it on with his special lady. Johan, you're crazy. You are crazy. I don't know what to tell you, Johan, but as far as I know, there is no full moon until I think the next one is going to be August the 3rd. So of course, everyone I think at this stage knows what we're talking about. We are discussing the Minister of Health, who had some comments about sexuality in the full moon, and apparently women go stark crazy during a full moon episode. and they have increased libido, and they want, it says women of all shapes and sizes and everything. They want to get it on. So Johan is already planning his calendar with his special lady, and he was hoping it would be tonight, but Johan, I'm sorry. You're going to have to continue to wait until August the 3rd. But don't worry, my friend. August the 3rd is right around the corner. So you've got time to make it a romantic evening. That's Monday. So go out and buy some candles and work it in good. Let's see here. Andy, thank you so much. So Andy says, good evening. What are your spies telling you about Rum Point and why we can't go there to chill in the boats? Ooh, interesting question. Someone said don't open till December. If someone has a negative COVID test, they should be cleared to visit once our borders are open. Well, Neil, we're going to talk about that because there's a couple of things with that are not entirely. A negative COVID test shouldn't give you as much comfort as you think. And I know we've had this discussion before, but the primary reason is the PCR test, when you take it, is a real-time test. So all that means is in the moment that you are tested, you don't have a couple possibilities. You either don't have the virus or you're not shedding enough of it because you're still in that asymptomatic phase and you may never get sick. So there is a possibility that someone is actually infected. They don't know they have it and they're going to test negative because it's in the early stages of the infection. So that's the dangers of overly relying on the PCR test and just saying, well, if you have a negative result, you're fine. And that's why they do multiple tests. I mean, just doing the one test only tells you at that point in time whether you've had it. And we've actually seen situations where people have tested positive multiple times. So people are saying they've gotten the coronavirus, they've recovered. There's one lady who claims that she's had it like 5 or 6 times. I'm like, what? But there are cases of people definitely getting reinfected. So this whole concept of herd immunity seems to not really be working out too well for the persons who have gotten infected. So Vicky, hi Carol. Vicky said that she missed what he said. Whoa, Vicky, where have you been, girl? Listen, I'm gonna play it one last time because this is it's I don't know if I want to say humorous, but yeah, it is kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. So let's play it one more time because obviously I think some of you definitely missed it. So let me just bring it up. Hold on one second here, Vicky. We talked about it yesterday morning, so I don't want to go into too much details and stuff about it again. But yeah, here we go.
A very special connection with the moon. I was born in July 1969, and everybody knows what happened then. The first man went on the moon in the month I was born, July 1969. The thing about the moon is that we have more energy. We feel more extroverted and connected to our partners and have more interest in sex due to our gravitational pull of the moon and Earth and the consequent energy released during this time. If you didn't know, a full moon increases women's sexual desire. The lunar cycle seems to affect women of all shapes and sizes. So I'm just saying, pay attention to the moon and bring up these totals. And by the way, this is not irresponsible. This is about saving a nation.
Okay, folks, so there you go. He said, Vicky, women of all sizes and shapes apparently are invigorated when there is a full moon. So, yeah. They want to be engaging in some fun adult time. So, woohoo, what a hot mess. Can't believe you missed that one. Johan talking about he's here with his coffee, his popcorn, sorry. So I'm starting to see some messages coming in, but I think they're a little bit delayed. But yes, Grace, good evening to you. Neil, that judge, what's her name? Judge Judy face, where she's like, "You idiot!" Like that would be something that Judge Judy would be like, "Sir, sir, sir, just shut the hell up right now." That is a totally epic Judge Judy moment. Wow. All right, folks. What can I tell you? Yes, face palm, total face palm. But you know, this is who we have elected to run the country. These are our elected officials, whether we like it or not. And I don't know what to tell you except, wow, wow. All right, folks. Let me sip my water. Some interesting times ahead. So the Human Rights Committee, let's talk about their statement. Let's talk about the governor's statement. Let's talk about, everybody's making a statement on this decision. So let's talk about some of those as well. The governor's statement came in yesterday right after the decision. So he basically said that he was very disappointed. And the Human Rights Committee, I'm just going to pull up what they have said. They've expressed their own disappointment as well. However, they've gone one step further, and they have actually said that not only are they disappointed, but they believe that direct intervention by the UK is very likely. So there's a train of thought out there. There's a couple trains of thoughts. There's one that this argument that the UK will intervene in this situation was just political rhetoric. This is what people want you to believe, that this was just political rhetoric to get you to support this initiative. That's one line of thinking. And then there are other people who are saying, no, the UK will actually intervene. Now, I don't know. I'm not in the brains of the UK, but I think we all need to take a wait and see attitude. What I do know, buenas noches, Elizabeth, is that a minister in the UK does seem keen for the government to intervene, and this is what has been said. So first, let's go with the HRC, which is a local human rights committee. They have shared that, unfortunately, the Legislative Assembly failed once again to meet those obligations, and direct intervention by the United Kingdom now appears likely. So according to them, and it issued a statement issued late today, they have said that the Cayman Islands has a duty to meet its obligations under the Bill of Rights to, and I quote, provide equality for all persons, and warns the Cayman Islands that it is very likely the UK will now have to directly intervene. So they issued this statement, and they basically said that it's with deep regret that the Commission watched, along with the rest of the world, as our legislators failed to pass the Domestic Partnership Bill. Following the debates in the Legislative Assembly over the past 2 days, the decision of the Cayman Islands Court of Appeal dated the 7th of November 2019, and you guys remember I mentioned this decision, I think it was yesterday morning, with respect to the appeal brought by the Cayman Islands government in the same-sex marriage matter, was clear. Government was duty-bound to meet its obligations under the Bill of Rights of the Cayman Islands to provide equality for all persons. In light of that decision and the government's continued failure to meet its basic obligations under international law and our own Bill of Rights to provide a remedy for the current inequality facing same-sex couples within the Cayman Islands legislative framework, passage of the bill into law should have been inevitable. The Commission continues to support and advocate for equality under the law for all persons as a fundamental principle of human rights. As the debate over the bill's defeat continues over the coming weeks, The commission reiterates the need to treat everyone with courtesy, dignity, and respect, and to reject intolerance and discrimination. And so the conversation continues. In addition to that, there was an MP in the UK who also had some commentary to make on this as well. So let me just find his comments so I can be accurate on that front. Just give me 1 second here. But basically the gist of what he said is that he's also urging the UK to intervene in the situation. So it's super interesting. Good evening, Joy. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hi, Karen. Karen says, no turning back now. Too late. You voted it down. Nancy says, let me just see Nancy's comment here. I think her comments are finally coming up. Nancy, where did your comment just disappear to? So Nancy says, do they realize that England will okay marriage? They should have passed what was in front of them and leave churches out of it. Let God be the judge. Well, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It was pretty clear what the Court of Appeal said. They did not mince their words. And as I was explaining to someone today, it is very unusual for any court, and I have read a few cases in my life because I'm not a lawyer, but I do have a law degree. So, as part of my law degree, I've read all sorts of cases. Criminal cases, civil cases, civil commercial, immigration cases, all sorts of cases all over the world. And I can tell you that I have honestly never seen a case where a declaration was issued as a part of the decision. So the judge said, the judges, it was a 3-judge panel, Court of Appeal, they said, okay, we agree on a matter of law that the government's position is right. And so we're going to overturn the decision of the Chief Justice. However, not only did we understand why he felt or came to the conclusion that he did legally, we also understand why he did it in terms of basically everyone knows that this government will never pass a bill. So they're getting out talking about, oh, we needed more time. We needed to take it to the people. We needed their discussion. That's not true, folks. You could give the people of the Cayman Islands 5 years on this. The conclusion that we saw today would remain the same because those persons, Anthony Eden, Alva Saku, Chris Saunders, Bernie Bush, who else was there? Kenneth Bryan, Dwayne Seymour, Juliana O'Connor Connolly. Who else voted against it? I can't remember their names, but you know who they are, right? None of them would have changed their mind because the people who are against this are not going to change their mind. Those persons who are thumping the Bible and making all these ridiculous comments about, these gay people are going to groom your children, they're going to steal your children away, they're going to turn this into sex orgy country, all this kind of stuff. I'm sorry to say, but none of that would have changed. You could have had 1,000,000 years worth of consultation. Those persons are not going to change their minds. So I don't believe that any further consultation on this was necessary. I thought the legislation was pretty clear. And if you didn't get it, it's because you didn't read it. And so begging that you needed more time is a farce. It's a fake argument to try to support why, we could have passed it if we had more time. No, we couldn't have. And the UK knows this. This battle has been going on for at least 5 years. So the domestic partnership bill is nothing new. And so I think at the end of the day, the government has realized, you know what? You people are just going to get what you're going to get. So I just understand breaking news that there is a major accident by Countryside. What? Incident. A man got chopped up with a machete. Say what? Whoa, by Jake Scott. Oh my gosh. So let me just check the feeds here. You guys know that we get it. Hello, we have like the best people. So let me just check my multiple sources. I've got multiple people messaging me different things. So let me just have a look at what is going on here. The phone lines are hot this evening, folks. Something's going on. All right, so we have names, but we won't call them yet because we'll get some confirmation later. So yep, this is going down in Savannah area. Somebody jumped out of his car and ran and beat up so-and-so, and he's gone by ambulance. He just finished walking his 2 little dogs. Oh my gosh, people, what is going on? Wow. I wonder if it is a full moon. What a hot mess. Okay, we will wait to get some additional information, but again, a bit of breaking news here. There seems to be some sort of a major incident here in the in my district, because I'm not that far from Countryside. So we hope that those persons are okay. Wow, no bueno. That's crazy, right? Okay, well, we'll keep you updated there. But yes, as I was saying, yeah, so I think that the UK government is well aware that nothing will change. So this MP, his name is, let me just tell you who he is. First of all, his name is Stephen Doughty. He's the MP and Labour Shadow Minister for Africa. And he's issued a statement on the defeat of the partnership bill here in the Cayman Islands. So isn't it interesting that he's all the way in UK and very much paying attention to what's happening here? And he shares his thoughts that it is deeply regrettable and said that the situation is no longer tenable, and he urges the UK to act urgently. Now, you guys remember that when in November that decision came down, the Court of Appeal said, this needs to be done. I can't remember if the term they used was expeditiously or something like that. But in other words, they attached in their declaration, and like I said, I've never seen a court decision where you have the court decision saying, okay, this is legally what it is. However, we're going to make a declaration, which is basically an order of the Court of Appeals. And that declaration said, you are in contravention of their human rights, and you need to fix this. You need to give them equal footing in law as married people have, or heterosexual married people have. And that was the declaration of the Court of Appeal. And so the Court of Appeal has made a declaration. They've said, do it, fix it. And we still cannot fix it. So no one should be surprised. And those of you who believe that this is just convenient rhetoric coming out about the UK is going to do something about it, somebody's been lying to you and somebody's been fooling you, because the UK is more than prepared to now take action because they've given us a chance. I mean, how many chances do you get? We're all parents. If your kid keeps saying, oh, Mommy, give me another chance, at some point, hi, Maureen, at some point you're going to say, okay, you've had 10 chances and you're still not behaving, or you're still not doing this. Now it's the time for me to step in and do what I got to do. And so that's what I think is happening here, and it is what it is. Karen says people need to educate themselves and understand exactly what's happening. For every action, there is a reaction, always. That's the natural cycle of life. Consequences is what it's called. Maureen, better late than never. Yep, Karen says, what a mess. I agree, what a mess. So he goes on to say in his brief statement that despite the welcome efforts of many, it is deeply regrettable that the Cayman Islands Legislative Assembly has not passed this crucial bill. The governor is right to call it a sad day for the rule of law in the Cayman Islands, and most crucially for the LGBT plus community there, as well as those who move to live there, work, or holiday there. So he's covering the gamut. with basic human rights that would be upheld in the UK not being recognized in Cayman. The situation is no longer tenable, and if the Legislative Assembly continues to deny basic rights to some of its citizens, then the UK ministers must act urgently to ensure the Cayman Islands complies with the rule of law and its responsibilities as a British overseas territory. It is time that all British overseas territories ensure legal equality for LGBT plus people. So that is a very, very strongly worded statement from this MP in the UK. Now, who he is, I have no clue. Never heard of him before. Says that he's a shadow minister or whatever for Africa, Labour Party. But we'll see what the fallout is of this. So nobody should be surprised when it comes down the pipeline. It is what it is, and we don't know what they may do. They may say, you know what? We're going to force you to now make marriages legal. Here's the order in council. Boom. It's done. And the Cayman can't do anything about an order in council. What are we going to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because none of you are prepared to go independent, I'm willing to bet. And if you are, you got to have your head checked over this issue. So Dana says, definitely not a full moon. Sorry, Johan. No hanky-panky for you tonight. Yeah, that full moon comment just has gone viral. Did you guys see the picture that people are circulating as well? I think we posted it on our page where it was like, okay, he's not going to be invited to any more full moon parties. The Minister of Health has been disinvited. The irony of his statement is that apparently he wrote his own speech, so he can't blame anybody else for anything confusing that he may have said. So there's a large quantity of ganja that was recovered off of the Cayman Islands. Seems like we're getting a lot these days. We had a 200-pound bus last week. Do you guys remember that there was a young lady who was involved in, what's it called? Being Jackass of the Day. Remember the whole page that was like, obviously people during COVID lockdown were going and getting their hair done. This young lady was one of those young ladies. So apparently now she's involved in this whole fiasco, and I'm trying to get some more details of this drug bust of 200 pounds of marijuana at a house, and I think there's a house in Prospect. So boy, I tell you, I mean, I'm not putting my mouth on nobody, but hello. You ignore one law because you don't think it's important to adhere to the COVID provisions, then obviously you don't care about obeying any other laws. You know, it's a very slippery slope when you have an individual who thinks that they're above the law and they don't have to follow the laws of the country. Because where do you stop? Where is your moral compass, right? Oh, I don't care about COVID. I don't care if I get it, if I expose other people to it. It's not a big deal to me. Well, I don't care about ganja if I bring in 200 pounds and, you know, it's all over the streets of the Cayman Islands and people are smoking it and blah, blah, blah. Next thing is, so I don't care about murder, or, you know, it's like, where do you stop? That's why the criminal mentality that some people have is very, very telling, because they have no barriers that will stop them from breaching the law. They will find a way to always break the law. And so we're going to be naming her here in due course, but she is one of the persons who was actually arrested. Her and the boyfriend were arrested in this thing, and she actually works at Car City. And I'm guessing since she's been arrested, they have since put her on leave. But yeah, what a mess. I mean, whoa, kind of crazy. So we'll get more details on that. We're hoping that by the 1st of August, so by next week, Monday, which is actually the 3rd, a lot of the courthouse will start to slowly reopen. With obviously continued social distancing and mask wearing and stuff like that in place. And so we should be able to, we're hopeful, go and do court searches and bring you a little bit more information, because sometimes we need to see the actual file to get all the details of what went down. But yeah, folks, this is going to be quite an interesting story. And I don't even know what to say. So the other breaking news today, just by way of our news recap, as you guys will remember, the immigration corruption case. It is the largest corruption case to be handled here in the Cayman Islands. It was so large that they actually had to do the case in two segments, two cases, two separate trials. And so those persons were finally sentenced today. So I want to go through some of the sentences and what the judge said. There was a couple statements that came out. Well, the Anti-Corruption Committee issued a statement about the largest fraud case in the Cayman Islands. And they broke down exactly, who was convicted of what and what their sentence would be. So I want to just go through this. We had gotten initial details of what it was, but we were waiting on firm confirmation because, again, there's some restrictions in terms of court access. So here's what we know. In the first trial, we had Marcus Alexander. And Marcus is a young man who I understand had been in immigration for many, many years. Most of the immigration officers involved in this case were long-serving officers. This is not someone who just come, like a Johnny-come-lately kind of situation. Not at all. So, yeah, it's sad because they have now thrown away their entire professional careers over what? What kind of money are we talking about here? Again, it's just ridiculous. It's like people not thinking about their lives and the impact that this kind of foolishness would have on them. And the irony of it, you're always going to get caught. It's just a question of when, but you're always going to get caught. So Marcus Alexander got 4 years imprisonment for conspiracy to commit fraud on the government, and 4 months imprisonment to run concurrent for failing to report. Kathy Ann Forbes got 2 years imprisonment for conspiracy to commit fraud on the government, 4 months imprisonment concurrent for failing to report, and that one has been suspended for 2 years. Carlos Robinson got 3 years imprisonment for conspiracy to commit fraud against the government. 1 second for me. Okay, and 4 months imprisonment concurrent for failing to report. So Carlos is going to jail for 3 years. Phaedra got a conditional discharge for a period of 2 years for failing to report. And Santo Castro Castillo, who was Phaedra's partner, will now be serving, give me 1 second here, sorry. He received 3 years imprisonment for conspiracy to commit fraud on the government, and a deportation order was issued once he has served his sentence. So he will be leaving the jurisdiction. So in the case of Phaedra, that conditional discharge, I know some of you want to have that explained. So basically what that means is that her judgment will be removed from her record after a period of time, as long as various conditions are met. So if she meets whatever conditions that have been placed on her after 2 years, that will be removed from her record. Marielle Maleno Suriel, conditional discharge for a period of 2 years for conspiracy to commit fraud on the government. The second trial, they had Diane Day Rankin, received a 12-month imprisonment for conspiracy to commit fraud on the government, 4-month imprisonment concurrent for failing to report, and that sentence, 4 months, is suspended for 2 years. So it got a little bit confusing because I think people thought that once they had a suspended sentence that the whole thing was suspended, but that's not how it's reading in this press release from the Anti-Corruption Commission. So she will still serve 12 months in prison for conspiracy to commit fraud, but the 4-month one, which would have ran concurrent, has been suspended for 2 years. That's how I'm reading this, right? Carolyn Nixon Lopez, 12 months imprisonment for conspiracy to commit fraud on the government, and that has been suspended for 2 years. Angela Suyapa Rodriguez David gets 6 months imprisonment for conspiracy to commit fraud on the government, and that has been suspended for 2 years. There's also a compensation order in favor of Elsie Reyes Diaz in the sum of $1,000 to be paid by Diane Day Rankin and Carolyn Nixon Lopez. They each have to pay $500. And the judge remarked that the sentences send a clear message that corruption at all levels will be investigated and persons prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Oh, sorry, this is what the chairman, Richard Coles of the Anti-Corruption Commission has said. The commission would like to thank investigator Anthony Daniels, as well as other members of the commission staff, along with the RCIPS and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, for their work in this matter. What do you guys think, though? I mean, I think that those are super light sentences. Like, I'm not thinking that the crime fit the punishment at all, or the punishment fit the crime. Those are very light sentences. Corruption against the government, and that's it. You get a suspended sentence? Oh, they'll be at it again in no time. Or somebody else will be trying their luck at it. Because, you know, criminals are funny. They never think that they are going to get caught. It's always like, no, I'm smarter than that. I'm not going to get caught. So they're always like the one that will just not get caught. Everybody else will get caught, but not them. They're like, nope, 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 not me. I got this. I know what I'm doing. I'm like a first-rate criminal. I got it. And then the day that they get caught, it's like, oh, oops, you've been caught. And that's how the cookie crumbles, folks, when you dabble in these types of things. Evelyn says consequences, alter cases, cause jackasses to wear braces. Say what? Karen says that's exactly what's going to happen. No lessons have been learned. Yep. Slap on the wrist, folks. Slap on the wrist. All right, then. Let me see what else is going on in the beautiful Cayman Islands. Hello, Perla. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, Hustlin. Michelle. Thank you so much for tuning in. Karen says, no weed, no vote. Elvis McKeever. Elvis is good. Karen says she's quite the businesswoman. Who is she, by the way? I'm not sure who you're referring to, but do clarify. Catherine is watching with us. Hi, Catherine. How are you? Thank you for joining us also. So President Trump has decided, or not decided yet, but he is mulling over, he's thinking about the possibility of basically suspending the election. This is kind of crazy, but this was coming out this morning during the show. A little bit of breaking news. The law has been in place that sets when the American elections will be since 1845. That is a long time, folks. We're in 2020. And despite that law being in place, we have Donald Trump saying that, I can change that law potentially. Why would he want to do so? What's the big deal? Now, don't tell me that he's going to use the rhetoric or thinking that, oh, it's going to be too much for COVID in, in November. Because surely that makes no sense from a man who does not even really believe the coronavirus is real. So I'm a bit curious about his logic behind even considering this at all. The numbers show that he is not doing well in the polls at the moment. So that's no good. And as a result, I think this is all about political expediency. That's the right word I'm looking for. Yes. And in fact, I also think that the truth is he is on quicksand and he is sinking ever so quickly. So perhaps he feels that by postponing it, that will give him a little bit more time to get a grapple on COVID-19. I don't know, because the numbers are so dismal there. That I dare say that would be perhaps the only logical thing as to why you'd want to postpone the election. But I still don't think that's going to help him very much. So we'll keep an eye on that. I mean, who knows? As someone was questioning here for Cayman whether or not our elections would be postponed, and I can tell you, we had the same question in May, and the governor issued a statement saying, no, our elections are scheduled to proceed on May the 26th, I believe. So get ready, folks, because boy, do we ever need people to go out there and vote. If there was a time that we needed intellectual representation, heartfelt representation, people who really knew how to run a country, there's a balance here that we're seeking. We don't need just all smart people who are just intellects, because that creates an imbalance in your lives and the running of your affairs and the running of your country. We need a little bit of both. And so what that means is, let us all think carefully about who we want to elect. Regardless, we need people who can read a speech, who can make sense when they talk, who can talk on their feet, who can answer questions. Those types of things, I think, are important qualities, and we will look at other qualities that we need in elected officials, but those are just a few that have come to mind. I don't need a member of Parliament trying to tell me something about donkeys and the Virgin Mary and lunar full moons and the lunar impacts on someone's sexuality, and I'm still left confused and baffled. So listen to this about Trump. Here's what we know. Let me just turn up the volume because I'm going to be bringing this in through the microphone here.
The president seized attention today by floating the idea of delaying November's presidential election. He did this in a tweet. We are obliged to note, not being critical here, just stating the fact that this is the kind of claim the president often makes, which helps him dominate the news, and then nothing ever comes of it. Still, we are obliged also to note it's unusual that a sitting president repeated false claims about the security of mail-in balloting and then wrote, quote, delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote, question mark, question mark, question mark. 3 of them. NPR's Miles Parks covers election security and will help answer the questions. Hi there, Miles.
Hi, Steve.
Can the election be legally delayed?
It can't. I mean, not in the way that the president seems to be suggesting here. There's no sort of executive authority that the president has over federal elections, which a lot of people say is a really good thing about our election infrastructure. I just got off the phone with a law professor at NYU who called the tweet virtually impossible, because basically what you would need to actually delay the election would be legislation that would pass Congress, which is almost impossible in our current political structure. You think about the Democratic-controlled House. Would all of those lawmakers be able to get on board with the delay of an election? Then it would have to go through the Senate, pass the filibuster, you'd need to get 60 votes in the Senate and then also have that presidential support. It's just highly unlikely considering how much, obviously Democrats want this election to happen.
Yeah, presidential elections have been at the start of November since the 1840s. Now, I want to note the president in his tweet objected to universal mail-in balloting. He then gave an exception. He said absentee balloting is fine, which I guess he has to say because people know now that he himself has voted by mail absentee. But then he said this widespread mail-in balloting that people are talking about is insecure. What makes election officials confident that it is secure?
Well, there's all sorts of safeguards that election officials point to that both the president and Attorney General William Barr, kind of conveniently leave out when they question security of mail voting. You've got barcodes on most mail ballots that make sure that the people sending it in are actually the people who requested them. There's also the fact that there's signature verification, which is a really highly successful way to kind of weed out bad ballots or fake ballots, not to mention the fact that you would need to fraudulently get a ballot actually cast and counted. It would have to match the exact paper weight. You'd have to make sure the ballot style was correct for the specific county. The scanners that the election officials have to read ballots will not read any ballot that doesn't match all of those highly specific and very unique aspects of the ballot. It just sounds, when you talk to election administrators about this sort of plot, this idea that counterfeit mail ballots could happen, most of them just almost laugh it off.
Sure, not that it's impossible. I mean, people counterfeit money too, but their argument is that there are security measures against it. We are, though, in this unusual situation where states are looking to lean a lot more on mail-in ballots than they have in the past. What effects might the president's warning have on the election itself, even if it doesn't get delayed, as he suggested?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of worries that these constant questions about the election's integrity could ruin people's confidence in it. And we know that over the last 20 years, Americans' confidence in federal elections, that their votes counted accurately, has been kind of slowly on the decline. The other potential issue here is that could President Trump's questions here potentially fire up Democrats? Democrats have been using the concept of voter suppression in their fundraising emails for the past 4 years. And so there's a question of, did these questions potentially hurt President Trump politically?
Okay, NPR's Miles Parks, thanks so much.
All right, folks, so there you have it. President Trump tweeting something that almost is impossible, which he seems to like to engage in impossibilities. And that's what he does best. He seems to be a dreamer. He seems to want to daydream quite a bit. Breaking news again here, folks. Will...
And now,
sorry.
NPR.
One second. Uh-oh.
Live.
Will, what's his name there? Will Mendoza, my apologies. That jackass, like he is the jackass of the entire century here in the Cayman Islands. He is continuing to torment Mike Adams and his family in the District of West Bay. I'm getting these reports right now, breaking reports out of West Bay, indicating that he has once again put boulders in the way. He was made to move those, and then he blocked the entranceway to the common access point with his vehicle. So as we're speaking right now, the commissioner is actually on the scene trying to get him to move his vehicles. You see, this is the kind of bullshit, folks, that anywhere else in the world, Mendoza would have been dealt with in another way. Now, as you guys know, I'm being hauled into court here shortly by the DPP's office in relation to this fiasco because I haven't seen their bundle yet. I'm supposed to go to court soon to collect the bundle and respond to the charges. But one of the things that they're claiming is that this is what's happening tonight. That's his wife's car. And this is the other family vehicle blocking. The government had started to put in the road, remember? And then he got an injunction against the Cayman Islands government. That has not yet gone to court. So there's been no further hearings or anything on this. But because he thinks he has this injunction, he started to put back up the fence multiple times. He has just continued to torture this family beyond anything that could be considered reasonable. This guy has got to stop. I cannot imagine the stress and the toll that the Adams family is being placed under on an ongoing basis. I mean, this is absolutely horrible. Truly, truly, truly horrible. And this is what they're having to deal with right now. The commissioner is on the scene. So this is what we know. He's blocking the road. The commissioner's there. And I guess the commissioner will try to get him. This dude just needs to be arrested. I mean, listen, if you can arrest people for all sorts of other foolishness, this man has committed, including property damage, multiple offenses. Put him in handcuffs and make him go to jail, have him spend a couple nights in Northwood, and those boys, I dare say, Northwood will sort him out. I mean, this is just crazy. Ridiculous. So the commissioner of police is on the scene, honking his horn to get past, and they're in the house, locked up, him and the wife, refusing to come out. Anywhere else, they would go and knock that door down and haul him off right in front of his kids. He won't come outside, but people can see him walking around inside of his house. Happening right now, folks. So 2 bits of breaking information. The first one is in relation to the situation here in Newlands. Wow. What the heck is this one? There's another breaking story here. Lord, some nights are just busy. Okay, I need to get some information. There's a third situation that's brewing. I don't want to say anything about that yet because we've got to get some facts there. But Mendoza is off the rails again. I think this man has mental health issues. He's been doing it. There was another incident about a week and a half ago that came to our attention. I can't help but wonder if he suffers from some sort of bipolarism and these things just happen every time he's in a tailspin. So that's the craziness that unfortunately the Adams family has to continue to suffer through. We are going to keep them in our prayers, but somebody needs to do something about him legally. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. On the incident of somebody being chopped up with a machete by Jake Scott, we will get some additional information. There are rumors that that person could be, the accused could be an employee of Jake Scott, but we're trying to get confirmation on that. We don't yet know the condition of the person who's been chopped up. Yeah, it's someone from the area is what I can say. All right, I'm going to leave you guys there. It's 8 o'clock. With all of this stuff that's going on tonight, I would dare say, please tune in the morning because we hope to have some updates for you. Stay locked to our Facebook page. And obviously, if anything breaking happens, we'll also put it on the website. So stay tuned to the website. Have a safe evening, folks. I wish you a beautiful evening, and we will chat again tomorrow at 7:15. Remember, every morning now, Monday through Friday, we go live at 7:15 until 9:15 for 2 hours, and we will be back in the morning. Thanks and kudos, shout out to all of the sister islands, the people who came to BRAC, Little Cayman, all the districts, and of course, our friends and family in the Bay Islands in Honduras are also locked in by way of Bay Islands TV, BITV. They are also joining us every day to find out what the latest is here happening in the Cayman Islands. So it's being sort of cross-streamed on their platforms. I'm going to send you the page for BITV. If you're interested in liking that news source, please check it out. Give them a like and a thumbs up. And we will see what happens from there. So yeah, Melinda, this isn't a beauty pageant, but he wants to suspend the elections. I think sometimes he just throws things out there to see what sort of response he gets, the president. And then if he doesn't get, people are going to tell him, dude, this is crazy. Then he kind of backs off of it. But even the fact that he posts something like that, I think speaks volumes to his mental state as well. So that's all I can say on that. But you guys be safe. And no full moon tonight. I'm sorry. We can't have any orgies or any sex parties. That will not be permitted until the full moon comes. And then, as the good minister said, it's the women you got to watch out for. They're the ones who seem to have their libido going through the roof. He made no mention of men, so I don't know what that means. Do men not get impacted by the lunar cycles? It's just women? Okay. Well, we'll take it. However that goes. Have a beautiful evening, folks, and do stay safe.